Okay, so this is part 2 of our exposures of the world's sins, and I'm talking to Sean Maguire. So that is the takeover by the Germans. George I of Hanover took over the English throne. 50 of her bloodline, that is Queen Anne, were closer to the Stuart Mary Queen of Scots than the Tudors, and that is the Tudors that lop the heads off the Catholics. That becomes pan-European Protestant and Episcopalian and Lutheran Arian monarchs only. Right then.
I'm sure my listeners don't mind that being repeated.
So there are the pictures of Queen Anne and her bloodline. There is her son, the Duke of Gloucester, and he's a really nice man. They still live on to this very day, and the Duke of Gloucester's body double has started to talk to me. He lives with the Earl of Home for much of his life. Yeah, and that is where I've reported already that James Hewitt is married to the Earl of Home's daughter. Will not burden you with that again. The next German plot actually started in Buckingham Palace, a Hanovarian palace owned and purchased as a mafia by this mob. That is the persecution of the royal bedchamber, how the Rothschilds have taken over the world, which is a chapter on my website. The real lovers and legitimate husband of a tiny little girl called Queen Vic. This time Rothschild just planned it, waiting for her ovulation. Blind Prince George, age 16, was Queen Vic's, age 12, only legitimate marriage. Then they popped her hymen Roth, and that is their secret marriage in Carlisle Castle. And then she was sent to the Isle of Wight in the Channel, and that is where she was brought up, and that is where Peter Sellers made the movie about being there, and that is the story of the true King of England, and the story about the baseball games, and how the massive Masonic jokes are based on numbers. Every one of the Jack the Ripper murders is a Freemasonic joke, and it's just telling you that we are eternally going to keep the royals in fear and the ordinary people in fear, because Jack the Ripper is a Freemasonic plan.
Right.
Yeah, and all of the numbers that are in it, 8 means eternal and continually repeating. She and Blind Prince George married in secret at Carlisle Castle, and that is the legacy of that, is a geopolitical organisation called the Carlyle Group. There they are with President Bush and the Arabs that are being robbed blind of their oil wealth by that president. And there next to them is the NATO's fucking armies. Yeah, that is, what was the name of NATO's boss of that place where you used to live? In Hertfordshire. It was not Hertfordshire, Burford. Did you used to live in? Do you used to?
No. You get this mixed up quite a lot, and you keep saying I'm a Chippenham boy as well. No, I was born in Cheltenham.
All right. Okay. I thought it was the Cotswolds somewhere.
Burford is in the Cotswolds, and Cheltenham is the heart of the Cotswolds.
Yeah. So in my other research, that is when Nell Gwyn is being shagged with diuretics inside her. That is Prince Charles shagging her so that she pees herself in the bed, and at that time she got the sack for that. And she, when she was explaining what happened, she coughed and it sounded like Burford. I did not understand any of it, and I still don't really understand it.
I was going to say you need to maybe explain it a little bit more, do you know, but obviously not.
So there is the Carlyle Group. What were they accused of?
The Carlyle Group were involved in all sorts of shit.
Yeah, so that is the takeover of Africa, North Africa, the Holy Lands, and
the rubber plantations in India.
And I would have thought at that time, because what was the name of the man that is with the blonde hair that was the predecessor for David Cameron.
The predecessor from David Cameron.
Yeah, in the Prime Minister.
I can't remember John Major.
Yeah, Major, yes. So all of them are in the pictures, and that is the global alternative asset management that is their mafia, the Carlyle Group. So let me keep going down. There is Carlisle Castle, for Victoria's only legitimate baby, born in secret and raised in secret, and that is Peter Sellers' role on the Isle of Wight.
That's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
People knew the truth of this.
Well, it's amazing. I've got the whole of the book that was published about it, and all of the pictures show him gazing up at the scoreboard for the basketball game that is actually his birth date as the true King of England.
Wow.
There is Lockerbie and we were on the M6 that night, and we drove through Carlisle. That is Bill Clinton, QE2, Princess Margaret are bastards too. So Victoria is the first woman in world history to wear a virginal white wedding dress. She was already a mother. And if you watch the movies on the comedies on the telly, that is, what was the name of the woman that was in the Sound of Music? That was,
Julie Andrews.
Yeah, so she lost her voice for a decade, and she, in the earlier movies, had been singing songs. Here was I, waiting at the church, waiting at the church, and that is her confirming that she knew that the person she was waiting for was already married. That is Queen Victoria's story. Blind Prince George of Cumbria, Hanover and Teviotdale was the true parent of her only legitimate son. It was sired and born and raised in secret by the Rothschilds, who usually shag the bastards, but that is the launch of a massive dynasty, and Queen Victoria was pug ugly. She wore the virginal white wedding dress because she was already a mother. Next page.
Yeah, go for it.
Do you think I'd be able to get this published if the book Rothschilds are still looking over my shoulder?
Yeah, I would. Fuck them anyway.
So there she is with Prince Albert in her original white wedding dress that means she's a virgin, but she's actually already a mother. That's the secret marriage to Hanovarian prince and her virginal white wedding dress. A massive joke, already a mother of blind prince's baby when she was just 14. So the man who sired the baby was blind, but he was not blind until he met the Queen, and that is why I believe the gods blinded him, and that's why I believe in the gods so much. It's absolutely amazing. Did I tell you that I got a black eye?
You did tell us about that. Yeah.
So the guy who did that is now blind in his eye.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it? It's uncommon.
And he's listening next door, so we'd better behave.
Or I could come in and give you another black eye.
Right then, so a massive joke. Already a mother of blind prince's baby when she was just 14 years old. Later already a mum. She married bigamously Prince Albert, the poof celeb, with the chain through his penis, all to give Queen Vic royal marks from Hanovarian kings. See Juan Carlos years later, the first woman in world history to wear a virginal white wedding dress. Possibly the launch of Mami by the German Kaiser's entertainer who's called Al Jolson. Do you get that?
Yeah, okay.
Mami, how I love you, how I love you. Yeah, that.
Yeah. Well, Al Jolson would be banned nowadays, wouldn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Even the Robertson Jam adverts would be. I went to one of the theatres in Edinburgh to see the black and white minstrels.
Yeah. I remember my mum and dad go to see them, and they thought they were great. They were absolutely brilliant.
That one is just a conspiracy. Her marriage to Albert was bigamous. before Rothschild gave him influenza with all of the windows open, that's the killing of Prince Albert, he had a chain through his penis, which comes into my story further down. Not my penis.
Your story.
No. So there is the Dukes of Cumbria and Teviotdale that are his German ancestors. That is one of the world's biggest secrets. They, for a time, were actually titled as Londoners as the owners of Teviotdale and Cumbria. And that is, Cumbria is the place where the Butcher of Cumberland killed all of those Scottish people in the Jacobite Wars at Culloden. It's quite sad, really. All of them have got gunpowder. The Kilties are lying, groaning, and all of it is in the movies that were made by Michael Caine. And those movies are impossible to find now, because that is the foundation of the German relatives of the Queen of England that is descended from them, fighting in Scotland, for the cause, and that is the butchery of all of those kilted warriors in the Scottish story. Dozens and dozens of clans could not then reform after those battles. And there are the Göttingen 7 that are the secret societies that still operate in Germany today, likely to be manipulated by the DVD Deutsch German that is Prince Philip. Yeah, that's why they went to see them, and the relatives of his sister are still alive in Coldstream. And when I told the story about their relative being killed in the plane crash after they had gone to see Adolph, their full cousin, in the war, that is Prince Philip's family. The sister died in an airplane crash on the way back from Berlin. I think it was 1937, but because I've been accused of getting the timelines for the BBC and the launch of the war slightly differently from the coronation of the Queen, I'm not prepared to back that up strongly. So there's the Dukes of Cumbria and Teviotdale, and that is the 3 Hanovarian princes of Cumbria and Teviotdale. World War I, 80 million dead, British Empire, vast tracts of land, Queen Vic's only legitimate baby by blind Prince George. He actually purchased Buckingham Palace for the Windsor of Hesse, Cassel, Battenberg syndicate.
Nice.
The secret parent of the whole of the bloodline that was then murdered, so that they could launch the massive scams that he was Marcos Manuel, and that becomes the BBC's Manuel the Waiter, and everything that you get your videos banned for Harry Enfield, the war criminal. Because
they just banned 40 Towers, haven't they? The German story.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah. They just said that it's going to be removed from British TV. They're going to remove that episode from the list of...
So that is vanity, but you and I are the reason for that.
It's a great episode. No one talk about the Germans.
So there's Albert's penis with the ring on the end of it, so he cannot have sex, ban this filth, keep calm, and love the German sausage. Right. And there is the alternative. You remember how people used to have watches on a chain?
I do, yeah.
So there is the erect penis in the middle of the chain in the man's chest, and the other two go down right and left and are just above the bullocks. Yeah, there he is. Prince Consort Albert was homosexual and illegitimate. Queen Victoria and John Brown, after Prince Albert died of pneumonia in inverted commas, Queen Victoria had a daughter called Louise Brown with her stable boy John Brown, and that leads to other offsprings from that family tree. Prince Albert's chain and John Brown, the parent of another Queen Victoria bastard. Religion evolves as an Illuminati Mafia operation to this very day. That is Jehovah's Witnesses, founded by Tavistock's Russells of Devon, which is heaven in the story, who are the Satanists, Illuminati with pyramids on their graves. Today still employ Debrett's rich listers, who since the Norman Norse conquest, that is Fred's Goodwin's route to riches. Fred came from north to south as a Norman, I think, as a Norwegian, and the other people that sacked Britain came from the south, that were William the Conqueror's families, and they are the lethal people that will not let boys or girls get to age 8 because of what happened with Queen Vic. Yet then they are capable of being the parents of Anglo-Saxon babies and a threat to the powers that be, that have the whole of the north of Britain and the whole of the south coast and everything in between in their hands now. That is William the Conqueror and the Norwegian Vikings. And there is Taze Russell, the founder of Jehovah's, which is a massive geopolitical organisation. And everybody that I meet in there, you now recognise the members of the cast. Bill Clinton's body doubles, Mirren in the Braveheart movie, and all of the Douglases that used to be in charge of the Scottish borders as warlords. They were very, very brave people in the ancient days, but sadly now they have turned into the Jehovah's Witnesses Mafia. That is the Douglas families that were black and red, and they were genuine protectors of the borders region. They are now the senior members of Jehovah's Witnesses. They have meeting places all over Great Britain, and all of them are the families that are involved as claimants to the throne. It's absolutely amazing. And they started to take the videos down. Trevor Jones is the name of my old boss at Welcome. He's a millionaire, and he's now called Duckett and Ducker. They are on William the Conqueror's family tree.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, and I used to think they were really nice and really well educated, but now when you realise that all of those syndicates are still looking to execute the people that know the truth about world history, it becomes quite sickening.
Yes.
And that is the Blackett Mafia family of Northumberland, and Commoner Kate is one of its leaders, because she's a claimant as a bastard from the Goldsmith family.
Okay. We've got to be very careful then, George, haven't we?
Yeah, you would not realise it, but the syndicates are every dukedom around the place. If you're lit up and you have a modicum of common sense, it becomes quite obvious. There's Andy Coulson, he's got a black and white fleecing uniform on now, rather than his political suit. Yeah, but that is the Blackett Mafias, my favourite pharmacists. Many of them had died with pathologies. The Kellett family, they send their daughter to Australia. She's an athlete. I forget which of the sports she runs in and competes in, but her mother was my favourite mentor in pharmacy, and she died with a lethal cancer. And when you look up the Blackett Mafia family tree, they proclaim when and how often the reincarnations happen. That's Commoner Kate's route to the throne.
And they actually know the dates and all the rest of it?
Yeah, it was much more fascinating when I first discovered it. I reported it to one of the Blackett family members, that was Adam Errington, my favourite student. The Erringtons are all over the listings, and I just thought he was an ordinary Geordie boy. But no, they're all claimants, and it's sad that in the religious battles that happened when the Jacobites were here, that went right into Newcastle, and several of Errington's family were executed.
Oh wow. Okay.
It's absolutely amazing. So there is Rothschild, Clinton, Trump, magnates, Heinz, Koch.
No.
Pardon?
It's okay, carry on, sorry.
Oh, I thought the Blackett Mafia had got you. So there, this time it's Rothschild, Clinton, Trump, Forbes, magnates, Heinz, Koch, Bornemisza, Butlins are the emperors of Austria, join the banking dynasties, and Trump is one of the 5 mafia families of New York. And here is the stuff that was presented by Greg Hallett. I think I'll skip it, we've done it so many times. That is the Chute and the tactical exercise without troops. That happened at the same time as the Bank of England was founded in 1866, I think it was. And during the Glorious Revolution, you get massive schisms all over the world, into Turkey, into Osman territory in Turkey, and that is the Dutch East India companies, and all of them are still running, and that is Reuters under massive control of the South Pacific. The aims of the Shin to turn these empires into mafia ops and the control of the issuance of money all over the globe. Since Oliver Cromwell led his military government, only Protestants can vote. So we've done all that together, and that was when John Paterson was not in jail. There he is, looking scholarly. So there is the execution of Charles I, and all of it is done in an engineered and timelined by Rothschild. That is Charles I, who was shagging the woman who pissed the bed that is Nell Gwynn.
Yeah.
She got the sack for that.
For what, from selling oranges?
Yes, for pissing in the sack. There is the Glorious Revolution, and there is the Duke of Buccleuch and Queensberry. He comes and meets me nearly fortnightly now. There he is with Nicholas Sturgeon. Yeah, all villains, all of them Rothschild bastards on the quiet. Have I told you about Sturgeon being a fish?
Well, sturgeon is a fish.
So Sturgeon is a fish, and in New Zealand, the nickname for that fish is Schnapper. That is Gutel Schnapper on the Rothschild family tree, the mother of the 5 arrows globally. Isn't it subtle? That is Nicola's name. And Alex Salmond is Salomon Rothschild of Vienna.
So none of these people are voted in and pushed forward by the people?
No, it's all the genealogical. That's why the whole of world history is based on who is your parents, and that was the title for one of Greg Hallett's books. All of them have now been burned, and you should see the stuff. You look up the chapters that are on Stalin's British training, you'll see the Sydney Street siege, you'll see all of the names that become a Papasokolou in Sydney Street was one of the policemen that got executed, and the guns they were given to allow Stalin to safely escape were completely hopeless, and all of it is in the book. And when you get to the foundation of the Boy Scouts, that is, what was the boss at the Boy Scouts? Baden Powell. He was a hopeless homosexual. That is why the Boy Scouts were formed.
See, he was in fact scouting for boys.
Yeah, absolutely. And he, when he first founded the movement, he would get a couple of boys in his wagon, I forget what they were called, in London and in Soho, where the brothels were, where the Jack the Ripper murders were just Freemasonic numbers. That is the occult threat. that everything that is happening in this district is where the Bank of England is, and that is why every one of Jack the Ripper's victims had her fanny systematically cut out, like the Indians used to get them gunned out. Yeah, that is the occultist message from the British Royals that were mainly the chief master masons at that time, if they were not chiefs of police. That's why Johnny Depp, when he goes into the investigations and he sees that it's a systematic surgical intervention so that her vagina is no longer attached to her abdomen, that is the same joke as in the Godfather movie. Senator Geary is accused of cutting the fanny. You can see the body on the bed, and the fanny is covered with blood, and the fanny is no longer in the corpse. That is the same joke, and that is the Masonic sense of humour that means that every one of those victims who were really murdered and had their fannies cut out are the Freemasonic predictions, and them warning you that all of this is going to happen to you, like the Rothschilds still do with my bank accounts. Yeah, all of them are out of Liverpool and all of the places that the Nazis trained in. Yeah, that's Beryl Brainbridge's books, Hitler Was a British Agent. And that's Greg Hallett's books, and all of it covers the same territory. So Baden-Powell used to sodomise kids in his wagon and then shoot them in the head, just to show he had the power as the founder of that childish organisation. And I was a Boy Scout.
No, a lot of children were, and a lot of organisations that are run from it were run by nice people who cared about the children that were there. And, so there's pros and cons with everything, isn't there?
Yeah. Well, so here's a bit on John Paterson. Let me remind you that John Paterson, pictured to the left of Boris Johnson, Pfeffel, in those pictures on that video we made together, Pfeffel the Nazi above, John is now in jail. No trial, no rights to visit, contacts friends. Last time I talked to him, he agreed to go to London's National Library to read Greg Hallett's book that is no longer in print. If the Internet Archive system were truly to be used as an Internet global archive, we would be able to show that the Rothschilds are once again are ruthless financial war criminals, but that has disappeared in the last 4 hours. I wonder why, as Greg Hallett used to say when his videos were able to be played, Amazon used to sell it, and that is the last time I talked to John, he was going to try and get to the National Library in London to get insight into what the book reveals. Most of it I've just picked up from PDFs and tiny little offshoots of the videos that Greg used to bravely make in the face of the police and the Rothschild Empire. Amazon used to sell it before his books became Miss de Mello's, a member of Max Clifford's Royal MI6 Society of Journalists. That's Lawrence de Mello. She's death threatened me in this hotel.
Yeah, I think it's worth mentioning again at this point, even though we said it on the last show. People keep saying to me, Professor George Lees is saying that Greg Hallett is dead, and he's not. So where do we stand with that?
No, they're doppelgangers for the real one.
So he's dead, but this is
the one you've been listening to this morning was made in 2011. Yeah, when Greg Hallett was telling the world that it was, that was 2013 is when I think he made his visit to the Downing Street, tried to post his accusations under the eye of a relentless video making. He talked to all of the police en route. And that is the stories that man told are now no longer on the internet, and even on my website, everything that is Greg Hallett, a death-threatened species, has been removed, but not by me.
Right, that's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all, and that is Amazon. The boss at Amazon is a billionaire. He's a relative of Stalin's. That is
Right.
Stalin, who's trained in Sydney Street. That is the boss at Amazon is Jeff Bezos, and Stalin's nickname was Crazy Basil Dugashvili. That is Dugashvili. That is Dugdale, and that is Keza Dugdale, former head of Scottish Labour. And I've written to her, told her that I know the whole of the family tree. It was posted on the Skype message I sent to her. The following day, she resigned. Crazy Bezos Dugashvili is Stalin's nickname. Stalin's dad's nickname.
Okay, the reason why I mentioned Greg Hallett, and I'm going to get back to that again, is because there are good people, and I know them to be good people because I know some of them personally, who are following Greg Hallett and are looking down the fact that he is the true King of England, and they're putting all their energy behind it and everything, you know?
But that's the scam. Jim Fetzer is a turncoat. He never replies to me now. That is right. Jim Setzer on the family tree for Heinz, for Butlins, for Rodenroth. All of them are the Swiss aristocrats that are the creation of the New World Order and the meetings at fucking Davos in Switzerland.
Yeah. So Jim Fetzer isn't just a nice guy doing...
No, he's completely disappeared off the social media, like my favourite families in America that are the women that had loads and loads of friends and they're ultra political. Their name is Dietrich.
Okay.
That is the Dietrich tribes of the Alps, and that is Hercules Dietrich John, that is Elton John.
Okay, so Elton John would be related to Marlene Dietrich?
Yeah, they're all in the same clan, and that is President Eisenhower's family tree. That is the Dietrichs that were the prostitutes in Germany, and I've explained to you already how Salon Kitty makes spies in those prostitution dens.
Yeah.
And they had a tendency, like the Jack the Ripper stories, just to shoot the prostitutes after they'd finished with them. That is the ultimate price, but because there's a war ahead of you, that price can be paid.
Yeah.
Look up Salon Kitty before it disappears off the internet, and you'll see them dying with their suspenders on in pools of blood.
Right.
The basis for that is the naming of Manchester United's manager. That is the Busby babes that were prostitutes in America.
So hang on a second, say that again. The Busby babes.
So Mark Busby was the boss at Man United before Ferguson, who's the agent for Rothschild, took over. Ferguson's write the books on the Rothschild family history, and in Dundee they are the most humorous bodyguards and body doubles that I've ever seen. They are really nice people. If the whole world were like that, we would be free. But the rest of them write the corrupted history of the Rothschild family. Yeah, but so the if you look at the Greg Hallett PDFs that are still left around the world, you find that Salon Kitty, the families that were in it, I forget the names, but they are well hung, and that's all you need to entertain the women in those places. The women get shagged by him because the families that they come from are the fascist owners. Yet that is the Fourth Reich from America in 1715. Yet they are still on the quest to control and own the the whole of Britain and its politics, which is why our Prime Minister is a Nazi. And he's a Bullingdon boy, and all of it is the same story as and you should see the drug addiction in the tiny little towns that I live in now. It's absolutely manic, and it's a tragedy for the families that are involved in it. But because the police and all of them are appointed by Piso ever since that happened in Naples, it is absolutely tragic.
It is, yeah. And the drug problems all over the world. Ireland has got towns that have got reeking with problems with heroin and cocaine and everything. So they're planning it everywhere, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right. And that is the triumvirate that was run by Prince Philip and Winston Churchill. They allowed the babies of the younger royals to be sired by Lord Plunket and Lord Porchester, because they knew the secrets of the drug running that involved Winston Churchill and Aristotle fucking Onassis. You remember his mum's name?
Oh, what was his mother's name?
Gethsemane.
Oh, that's nice, yeah.
Yeah, that is the Mafia from Greece that has replaced the gods. That in the movies that we've made on religion is Dolly Parthenon from Greece.
Listen, George, we've got under 5 minutes left. So,
right.
Is it something you want to get in before we head off?
So there's Mr. Mello, and Max Clifford is the man that was chosen to get Greg Hallett's books published, because he's the boss at the Royal MI6, and he's in the Society of Journalists like Mr. Mello, who used to try and murder Greg Hallett before they proclaimed the real one to be a manic victim, and that is her story. She is an absolute disaster. She lives in France, I think, and now if you visit Greg's replacement's website, also called The World of Truth, none of the original Hallett amazing videos can be played, and all of the ones that feature his stories and his writing and all of his excellent explanations. Remember, the word fuck is fornication under consent of the king, and that is the income for the king in the royal brothels. Yeah, and that is where you're allowed to be a spy, even if you're aged 14 to 16. And that is what happened in all those German brothels.
Yeah.
In a series of 6, each circa 2 hours long, are on his visits to Downing Street with the cops. And there is the story of the Steel of Britain by Hitler and his full cousin, the Queen of England. And there's Michael Caine in the Kidnapped movie that is about the massacres of the Jacobites, and the Butcher of Cumbria. Butcher of Culloden was the Duke of Cumbria, where Queen Vic's baby was born.
Yeah.
The only legitimate one that she had, except for John Brown's, but that is dubious, because he was just a backroom boy. And she used to walk her on her little donkey-like horse, and that, I believe, is why Prince Harry made the same gestures, and then the donkey bit him.
Right.
So let's just skip into, there is, thereafter time was altered so that no one would know whether a British royal was killed, causing a policy change. As the result of a policy change, there is Lord Louis Mountbatten, murdered by Prince Philip, who then changed his name to Mountbatten. On Burke's Peerage, see this video on Phil's name change on Burke's Peerage. Do you get it? So he killed Mountbatten, and then he took over the title.
Yeah.
And I used to fish on the River Avon that runs through his castle, and that is almost on the south coast of Britain, where what is the name? Is it Trafalgar? Was that where they built the ships and sailed them on the south coast? Or is that the square in London?
It's both.
Oh, it's both. Yeah, so I remember I used to fish the River Test in Itchen and all of it was, you know, I was a high earning professor at that time in University College London, and all of it, I met the people that are in the syndicate. That is the Rice family, and sadly nearly every one of them has had heart attacks. That's why I believe in the gods.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be great if a lot of us got together, a few hundred of us, just went in there, killed them and took their titles?
Oh no, I don't like violence. I would faint.
Okay. I think somebody should do this.
Oh no, you must not say that in public places.
So George, we've come to the end of another incredible 2 hours. Okay. So before we go, is there anything I'm scared to ask you? Is there anything, because you might go on for another fucking half hour? But is there anything that we've missed that you think we should say before we go?
Can you get me Sophia Loren's phone number?
Right, I'll work on that. And in the meantime, Professor George Blease, it has been an honour and a privilege for the 20th time to have you on Out of the Bag. Thank you so much.
Cheers, Sean. Sorry it was so disorganised in the arrangements to the lead up.
That's okay, no problem at all.
There's Mad King George to close at my end. Yeah, okay. It's been mad ever since, all of it created purposely by the Rothschilds.
Okay. Well, George, that'll go out on Wednesday, okay?
Cheers, son. Thanks for your help.
All right. Brilliant. Thanks a lot. I'm going to rescue the dogs and the wife and the child.
Bye.
Cheers, George. Bye.